विश्वं दर्पण दृश्यमान नगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतम् पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोध समये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नमः इदम् श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये दूर्वादलद्युतितनुं तरुणाब्जनेत्रम् हेमाम्बरं वरविभूषणभूषिताङ्गम् कन्दर्पकोटिकमनीयकिशोरमूर्तिम् पूर्तिं मनोरथभुवां भज जानकीशम्. All right. So very good morning, everyone. Can you see my screen now?
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Morning, everyone.
Good morning. So a quick recap of what all we've done so far. What we have seen, the screen sharing got stopped again. Okay. So what we have seen is now we have completed the Amuk or the introduction section, and then we've moved on to a three-seried or three-layered dialogue. So on the one hand, Goswami ji is talking to us. Then we began with a conversation that Yajnavalkya and Bharadwaja were having together, wherein Bharadwaja raised a question as to who the real Ram is. So as we say in modern colloquial parlance, can the real Ram please raise his hand? So who is this Ram? Is it the one who is the son of Dashratha? Or is it that Brahman from whom the whole world emanates? Are these two? Are they the same? If they are the same, why is he behaving like a human? Why is he tormented in pain through separation? Why is he searching for a lost wife with so much agony, etc.? And then Yajnavalkya says, don't worry. A similar question was had by Parvati in the form of Sati to Shivji, and then he goes on to elaborate that prasang, and in that prasang we have the dialogue between Shivji and Satiji. So this is a three-layered dialogue, in which Tulsidas is talking to us, in which Yajnavalkya is talking to Bharadwaj, in which Shivji and Parvati are having a dialogue. So we are at the third level of the dialogue, and Sati is not convinced. So in the dialogue between Shiva and Sati, Shivji once goes to the ashram of Agastya, where they regale each other with the stories and the bhakti of Ram. And then while they are going back, Ram, in one of his avatars, he comes again and again, he's moving through the forest. And then at that very time, Ravana comes with a Marich. Marich turns into a golden deer. And then Sita is taken away by Ravan. And then Ram searches for her in great agony and pain. And while they are going back, so this zoom out view is provided by Goswami ji. And Sati says, but you are my husband, the all-knower, all-powerful, omnipresent, omnipotent. Why is it that you are bowing down to him? I don't get that. And Shivji tells that this indeed is the same Ram whose stories we were discussing with Agastya. It's no different. He's in a human form because he has to kill Ravana, and that's the only way Ravana can be killed. But Sati is not convinced. She says that's fine, but why is he displaying and carrying on his sleeve, as it were, his entire matrix or entire set or plethora of emotions? And then Shivji tries to explain her, and again, she's not convinced, and that's the place where we had stopped, which was at Dohā Chaupai block number 51. And now we will move on from there with Dohā Chaupai block number 52. So now Sati is not convinced. She's thinking what she has to do. And then she says, the taste of the pudding, as it were, is in eating it, and I will test it out myself. I will not just rely on what Shivji is telling me. So that's the background. And now we get into today's flow. जो तुम्हारे मन अति संदेहु तो किन जाई परीक्षा लेहु तब लगी बैठ अहं बट छाही जब लगी तुम ऐहु मोहि पाही, जैसे जाई मोह भ्रम भारी, करेउ सो जतनु विवेक विचारी, चली सती शिव आय सुपाई, करहि विचारु करौ का भाई, इहा शंभु असमन अनुमाना, गच्छ सुता कहूँ नहीं कल्याणा, मोरे हूँ कहे न संशय जाही, विधि विपरीत भलाई नाही, होई ही सोई जो राम रचि राखा, ओ करी तर्क बढ़ावे साखा। अस कही लगे जपन हरि नामा, गई सती जहाँ प्रभु सुख धामा, पुनि पुनि हृदय विचारु करी, धरि सीता कर रूप, आगे हुई चली पंथ ते ही, जहि आवत नर भूप। All right. So, जो तुम्हारे मन अति संदेहु, तो कि न जाई परीक्षा लेहु. So now Goswami ji basically is continuing forth with this dialogue between Shivji and Parvati ji, in which Shivji is telling Sati or Parvati in the form of Sati, you know, if you have so much doubt and if you're not even ready to listen to what I'm saying, then why don't you go and test who Ram is yourself? Jo tumhare man ati sandehu, in case your mind is full of a lot of doubt, to ki na jai pariksha lehu, why don't you examine the whole situation yourself? तब लगी बैठ अहूं बट छाई, जब लगी तुम ऐहु मोहि पाही. So now this jab tab is now inverted. Tab is coming first and jab is going in the second ardhali. Tab lagi baith ahau but chahi. I will sit below this banyan tree until such time as jab lagi tumha aihahu mohi pahi. Until such time as you don't do this test and come back and tell me what has happened. I will sit below this banyan tree. Now, this is very interesting that Shivji is saying that go test yourself and find out who Ram is, and I'll sit below the banyan tree until you come back. Now, in the opening verse that we say in our invocation, we talk of Vishvam Darpana Drushamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam, etc. That's from the Dakshinamurti Stotra. And Shivji, in the form of Dakshinamurti Stotra, sits below a banyan tree. So over there, and Shivji has gone into Maun. He says, I've tried telling you everything, but you're not amenable to getting what I'm saying. So now I'll just stay quiet and sit below this banyan tree. And this rings a bell about Dakshinamurti sitting below the banyan tree, a very young teacher. All his students are very old. They are listening to what he's saying, but he's not uttering a word. That's the sound of silence, as it were. So there's a beautiful verse that goes over there. We had done this when we were covering the invocation verses, which goes, Chitram vata taror mule vrutha shishya gurur yuva, gurostu maunam vyakhyanam shishyastu chinna samshaya. So ultimately, the deepest of knowledge, of understanding what is the nature of ourselves, that is given only through maunam, only through silence, below a banyan tree, which we invoke at the beginning of each and every session through the one of the verses of the Dakshinamurti Stotra. And it is that very banyan tree now that Shivji is going and saying, you find out for yourself. I will not say anything. I will go in my meditation and not utter a word. And Satiji says, okay. Jaise jai moha brahma bhari, karehu so jatana bibeku bichari. He says, you do your test, but do it in such a manner that your confusion is set to rest. Jaise jai moha brahma bhari, karehu so jatana viveka vichari. Put your discretion, your discrimination to good use. Think through and conduct the test in such a manner so that your confusion as to what is the true nature of Ram is finally laid to rest. Chali sati siva ayas upai. And she was just waiting for this. She said, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. I don't want to listen to what all you've been telling me. And the moment Shivji said, go do the test, she said, yes, I'm going. And in a jiffy, she went and said, I am going to see what's doodh ka doodh aur pani ka pani main kar dungi. Karahi bicharu karau ka bhai. Now, this is extremely interesting. Karau bicharu karau ka bhai also comes when Hanumanji in the Sundarkand, many of you all might be doing the Sundarkand part. So this is, a verse from that part when Shivji, when Hanumanji was also a form of Shivji. So just see how interlinked the whole story is. So when Hanumanji is there in the Ashokvan, at that time, there is a verse, if I remember right, Tarupallava Maharaha Lukai Karau Bichara Karau Ka Bhai. He's hiding amongst the trees and he's thinking to himself, Hanumanji, when he sees Sita, now what should I do? Should I go and tell her who I am? Should I just keep hiding and keep watching what's going on? So he's thinking to himself, and bhai or brother is invoked when you are talking to your own mind, because your mind is your best friend. So similarly over here, Sati is saying, Karahi bichara karau ka bhai. Oh brother, oh mind, oh friend, tell me what I should do now. So this is also referenced in the Gita, I think chapter 6, verse 6. Bandhuratmatmamastasya yenatvai matmana jitaha anatmanastu shatrutve varte tatmaiva shatruvat. So our mind can be our best friend. It can also be our best enemy. So Sati over here is invoking the mind as a friend, but her doubt in the mind is also making the mind her own enemy. Anyhow, so Karau ka bhai, what I wanted to tell you all is Karau ka bhai is typically invoked when you're talking or having a conversation with yourself. And Sati is doing the same thing. Otherwise, the question is, who's this bhai over here? There's no other person here. So is she asking Shivji, but she's already gone from him. So, just that little aside on what this means. Iha sambhu asamana anumana. अब हम तो संवाद सुन रहे हैं शिवजी और सती जी का. तो यहाँ ये थर्ड पर्सन कहां से आया? यहाँ. And at this place, so this is the third person perspective. So it is as if someone is narrating the story. So suddenly we are layering up from the conversation of Shivji and Parvati ji. We've rolled back to Bharadwaj and Yajnavalkya and have come back to Tulsidas space. And in Tulsidas space, Tulsidas is now telling us, Iha sambhu asamana anumana. Over here, Shivji started thinking in his mind, Dacha suta kahu nahi kalyana. I don't think this test is going to benefit Sati in any which way. So this Iha, I'll come to the significance of Iha, but it acts as a trigger to say, अरे ये तो शिवजी और सती जी का संवाद चल रहा था, तो यहाँ क्यों कह रहे हैं गोस्वामी जी? And many a times, some people say कि वो बस मीटर के लिए कह रहे हैं. Now, I never buy that argument because he's such a poetic genius that he could have also said tabahu sambhu asamana anumana. And it could, but he's specifically using Iha to tell us that now the conversation is rolling back to Goswami ji talking to us. We've come out of the dialogue of Shivji and Sati ji, and then Goswami ji is telling from a third person perspective that over here, Shivji started thinking to himself, Daksha suta kahu nahi kalyana, the daughter of Daksha Prajapati. So Sati is the daughter of Daksha, who became a Prajapati. So we'll come to the story of how he became a Prajapati later. But she's the daughter of Daksha, who became a Prajapati. So Daksha suta kahu nahi kalyana. I don't think that Sati is really going to gain anything out of this, self-doubt and test, is what Shivji was thinking to himself. So over there, Sati is thinking to herself or with herself, what should I do? And Shivji is thinking in his mind that isse kuch hone wala nahi hai. So they are having a dialogue even though none of them is uttering a word. We saw that they are the same side of the coin, two sides of the same coin. The doubt and the Vishwas. So they are not speaking a word, but they are also conversing with their individual minds. मोरे हूं कहे न संशय जाही. मेरे बताने तो पे इनका संशय मिट नहीं रहा है, तो क्या करे? विधि विपरीत भलाई नाही. सो जो लिखा हुआ है भाग्य में, उसके विरुद्ध जाके तो मेरा कोई फायदा है नहीं. तो I'll just sit quiet because whatever I do, she's not ready to listen to me. होई ही सोई जो राम रचि राखा. Whatever is to happen will happen. Whatever Ram has decided to happen will happen. को करी तर्क बढ़ावे शाखा. Tarko pratishtha. Tarka does not give you pratishtha. See, you have lawyers who get a case and depending on what the party's side is, they argue in court. Just imagine that, instead of this party, they caught this case from party B. They would argue from that side also with equally tight logic, watertight logic. So tarka can only take you to a certain point, which is the letter of the law. To get to the spirit of the law, you have to let go of tarka. So he's saying basically, Kokari tarka badhave sakha. I'm just going to do hair splitting and go on increasing the argument if I continue to tell her and convince her that this is how things are, because she is not receptive to that. So whatever I do, the blame will be on me saying, no, there's something wrong. So I'll just keep quiet. Tarka or logic is only going to take me thus far and not anymore. And whatever Ram has decided will happen. Now, this is not to be misinterpreted as sab bhagya pe chhod do. Daivam chaivatra panchamam. Again, Bhagavad Gita. Daiva or fate plays only 1/5 of the role of the entire gamut of things. So there's adhikar, there's karta, there's karan. There's instrumentality, there's agency, there's the doer, there's the thing being done, and then finally you have Daivam, which is fate. So he says, whatever the other four were, I have done. Now, whatever fate has decided for itself, it will play out. I am not going to convince Sati anymore. Asa kahi lage japana harinama. And then when such things happen, what do? You enjoy, have a good time singing the glories of the Lord. So that's what Shivji did. And he went into his meditative trance singing the glories of Hari. Gayi Sati jaha Prabhu Sukhadama. And then Sati went there where Prabhu Sukhadham, which is Shri Ram, was there. Now, a little context or elaboration of Iha and Jaha. Iha मतलब गोस्वामी जी वहां पे है और तहा मतलब सती जी वहां पे है. Now, Goswami ji across the text uses these words very carefully. So, Iha is always used where Ram is there. And Taha is always used where Ravan is there, the Daityas are there, etc. But over here, he's flipping it. He's saying, Iha Sambhu Asamana Anumana. So Tulsidas ji is with Shivji. And Gayi Sati Jaha Prabhu Sukhadama. She went there where Ram was there. So why is he flipping the coin and not being with Ram over here? He's doing that because Sati has doubt. And he's saying, मुझे ऐसे भक्तों के साथ नहीं रहना है, जो भक्त है ही नहीं, सदैव शंका करते हैं. मैं उन भक्तों के साथ रहूंगा जैसे शिव जी, वो जो सदैव हरि नाम में सुखी रहते हैं. So in this case, he is using Iha to be with Shivji. Here Shivji was sitting and there Sati went with a doubt. Goswami ji is saying, I have nothing to do with the doubt. Now this might look as a little bit of exaggeration, but every time we encounter Iha, Uha, Iha, Vaha, we'll see how he's playing with that. He always takes Iha to side with where Ramji is there, where Bhakti is there, where Shraddha is there, where Vishwas is there, and Vaha or Taha, where these things are absent. So over here, Sati is representing doubt. So he's saying she went there, but I, Goswami ji, stayed with Shivji, Iha Sambhu Asa Mana Anumana, where he started singing Harinam. पुनि पुनि हृदय विचारु करी धरि सीता कर रूप आगे होई चली पंथ तेहि जेहि आवत नरभूप. So she thought to herself again now, Sati, saying, how should I put Ram to test? I have a doubt, but how should I settle or address that doubt? And then she says, okay, it's quite simple. Sita is taken away. If he is all omnipotent, all-knowing, omnipresent, he should know where she is. He should also know if I dress up as Sita, and he should be able to call off my bluff. If not, then clearly Shivji is wrong and I am right. So she dresses up as Sita and then goes down then where Ram and Lakshman are searching for her. So Puni Puni Hudaya Bicharu Kari Dhari Sita Kararup. She dresses up as Sita. Aage hui chali panth tehi jehi avat narabhup. And then she saw Ram and Lakshman coming and then suddenly came in front of them and confronted them in the form of Sita. Any questions thus far? Okay, so as I said, now these Doha Chaupai blocks are smaller, so our speed will be slightly higher purely in terms of numbering. I've kept on saying Doha Chaupai, but I think we should say Chaupai Doha because the Doha comes in the end. And when we say Doha Chaupai block 52, it basically means Doha 52 and all Chaupais before it. So I think we should flip our way of calling it Doha Chaupai and call it Chaupai Doha. So we'll now go to Chaupai Doha block number 53.
Quick
So now,
question.
yeah.
Question. What are the 5 things that you mentioned? Adhikar, Karta, Karam, and Daivam. What is the
Yeah.
5th?
Adhikar, Karta, Karan, Daiva, and the instrumentality. So the doer, the thing being done, the instrument with which that thing is being done, the location, the space in which that thing is operating, and act of fate. So you can have control over all these 4, but the 5th one you have no control over, and that is fate. So Shivji says, I've tried all 4. I have had the agency, she was there, the location was there, the instrument of logic was there. All these 4 were there. But fate is not on her side. What can I do? So it's basically the doer, the thing on which the thing is done, the instrumentality or the agency, and the location.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we move to verse Chaupai Doha block number 53. So, Namita, going back to your question, we have all these cases in Sanskrit called Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Shashti, Saptami, and invocation or Sambodhan. So these are basically the ways in which 2 entities can interact. So we call it the nominative, accusative, dative, genitive, ablative, locative, and vocative cases. So basically, genitive shows ownership, so that's out of the question. Vocation shows addressing. So subject, object, agency, 3, location, and ablation is from 2, but that's not considered because I mean it's included in the doer and the thing being done. So the doer, the thing being done, the thing on which that thing is being done, so the second person, the location in which it is being done, which is the locative case. So basically, all these are covered also in the Sanskrit cases of nominative, accusative, dative, genitive, ablative, vocative, and locative. I don't know if that makes sense, but okay, just okay. Okay, so anyhow, so Doha Chaupai block number 53. लक्ष्मण दीख उमा कृत बेशा चकित भये भ्रम हृदय विशेषा कहि न सकत कछु अति गंभीरा प्रभु प्रभाव जानत मति धीरा सति कपटु जाने सुर स्वामी सब दरसी सब अंतर जामी सुमिरत जाहि मिटई अज्ञाना सोई सर्वज्ञ राम भगवाना सती कीन्ह चहत हूँ दुराऊ देखहु नारी स्वभाव प्रभाऊ निज माया बलु हृदय बखानी बोले बिहसी राम मृदुबानी जोरी पानी प्रभु कीन्ह प्रणामो पिता समेत लीन निज नामो कहे बहोरी कहाँ वृष केतु विपिन अकेली फिरहु के ही हेतु राम बचन मृदु बूढ़ सुनी उपजाति संकोचु सती सभीत महेश पही चली हृदय बड़ सोचु लक्ष्मण दीख उमाकृत बेशा. Now Lakshman sees Sati dressed up as Sita. Now Lakshman ji ne dekha Uma Krutabesha. Now this Kruta is attached to Uma, but you can also attach it to Besha, and it can then mean two things. So Lakshmana dekha Uma Krutabesha. Lakshman ji ne dekha ki Uma ji ne कुछ तो बेश धारण किया था. So she was wearing something. अगर आपने कृत बेशा को लगा दिया, लक्ष्मण दीख उमा कृत बेशा, he saw Uma dressed up as someone else. Either way, it is to say that Uma was either dressed up or enacting the fact that she was dressed up as someone else. कृत बेशा उमा. So उमा जी जिन्होंने किसी और का बेश किया था, ऐसे लक्ष्मण जी ने देखा, which is to say that Lakshman probably recognized who she was. Chakita bhai, and he was surprised that Sati, who is the wife of Shivji, could do such a trick. And then he was confused as to why is she doing that. Hridaya bisekha, in his heart there was agony, and he was confused as to what is going on. Kahina sakata kachu ati gambhira, but his elder brother is there, and he knows the poignancy of the situation, that Sita has been taken away or probably has been lost somewhere. They don't know yet. So he knows the poignancy of the situation, and the elder brother is also around, so he just keeps to himself and stays quiet because वो अपनी मर्यादा में रहते हैं. प्रभु प्रभाव जानत मति धीरा, because he knows that if Ram is around, there's not really going to be much of a problem, even if Uma is Krutabesha over there. So he just relies on his elder brother and says he'll sort it out. Sati kapatu janeu suraswami. And then Ram also saw her, and he found out the kapat, or the forgery, that Sati was doing. Sabadarasi saba antarajami, because he's the all-seer, all-pervading, ever-residing in our own hearts. Antarjami. This is very crucial. It is not only an external deity that sees everything and controls you and keeps an account of your do's and don'ts and pap and punya. It is also the deity residing within you. Antarjami. वो आपके अंदर है, वो सबदर्शी है. ऐसे राम जी ने सती का ये छल और कपट देख लिया. सती कीन्ह चह तहु दुराऊ, देखहु नारी स्वभाव प्रभाऊ. And then he says that just see the potency or the power of the character of a woman, that she wants to create this kind of fuzz or this kind of forgery with me. Nijamaya balu hrudaya bakhani, bole bihasi ramu mrudubani. But then he gives a little smile or a little snigger to himself and says, well, but these are the workings of my own maya. Mayadhikshena prakriti suyate characharam. Under my ownership, under my authorship, under my command, prakriti manifests in the world. Bhagavad Gita. So over here, he's basically saying that it is the working of my own maya. What can I do if Sati, under the power of the character of a woman, is playing such forgery or such tricks with me? Okay. Sati कीन्ह चह तहु दुराऊ, देखेउ नारी स्वभाव प्रभाऊ, निज माया बलु हृदय बखानी, बोले बिहसी राम मृदुबानी. And he gave a little smile and talked back to her. I'll come back. I'm sure there are many questions on dekhau nari subhav prabhav, but we'll come that when we finish the Doha Chaupai block. So, Nijamaya balu hrudaya bakhani, bole bihasi rama mridubani. He talked softly and he folded his hands to this Sati as Krutabesha Sita. So, Sati in the form of Sita, Ramji folds his hand and says, Jori pani prabhu kina pranamu. I bow down to you, O Mother Goddess. Pita sameta leena nijanamu. अब इसको कैसे लगाएं? उन्होंने अपने पिता का नाम लिया और कहा, मैं वही राम हूं जो दशरथ जी का बेटा है. So her doubt that is this Dashratha's son, who's a princeling moving around in the forest, the same as Brahman, he plays a little trick and says, Pita sameta leena nijanamu. He says, I am that very Ram. The two Rams are one. Don't be confused. So in a way, he addresses her doubt. The other way is to say, उन्होंने बोला माता दक्ष प्रजापति की कन्या, उनके पिताजी का नाम लिया. Which is to say that he recognizes her as well. Nijanamu. He took her own name. Nija is, private or own. It can mean both. It's not always your. Pita sameta leena nijanamu. So he took her own name, Mata Sati. आप तो दक्ष प्रजापति की कन्या है. आपका यहाँ कैसे आना हुआ? मेरा प्रणाम. That's one way. The other way he already knows what her doubt is. So he says, Namaste Sati ji. मेरा प्रणाम, मैं दशरथ का बेटा राम हूं. So he puts that doubt to rest, saying, are the two Rams same? So this can go both ways. Kaheu bahori kaha prushaketu. And then he asks, but where's your husband? Where's Shivji? Bipin akeli phirahu kehi hetu. With what reason are you moving around the forest alone? Because remember that he's separated from his own wife. He's searching for Sita in the forest. And here he's saying, why are you separated from your husband and loitering around in the forest all by yourself? Look what has happened to Sita. I'm searching for her. And I don't want Shivji to go back in the same agony. So please be with him. Otherwise, he'll also get worried as to where you are. And in this little dialogue, he does not cast any doubt at her. He does not say that you've dressed as someone else. Why? He just bows down to her and says, you are Daksha Prajapati's Kanya. I bow down to you. I am the son of Dashratha. And why are you moving around in the forest? And where is Shivji? Rama Bachana Mrudu Gudha Suni. And listening to these very soft but mysterious words of Ram, उपजा अति संकोचु. She got very embarrassed, saying, मैं क्या करने चली थी परीक्षा, मेरा अहंकार और ये क्या हो गया. और उन्होंने कुछ मुझे बोला भी नहीं. He did not at once, even once say that you are, having a coy, he just ignored the whole thing, just bowed down to me. So that, embarrassed her even more. Sati sabhita mahe sapahi, and then she goes back to Shivji. Chali hridaya bada sochu, keeps on thinking in her heart, okay, so my concern or my doubt has really been addressed, but why did I have it in the first place? Shivji was telling me that the two are one, that he is in a human form over here. Why did I have that doubt in the first place? Now, in our sessions, we have been continuously saying that Shivji and Satiji are one in the ekta of the Nar and Nari forms. We have also said that Krishna and Ram are one. And now let's just bring a little, contextualization of Krishna and Ram. So there's a very beautiful verse that goes, मोही दशरथ लाल है निर्मोही नंदलाल ये बन बन ढूंढत फिरे उनजु तजे ब्रजबाल. सो मोही दशरथ लाल है, दशरथ जी के लाल राम जी जो है वो बड़े मोह में फंसे हुए हैं, लेकिन नंदलाल जो है कृष्ण वो निर्मोही है, उनको कुछ भी मोह नहीं है. नाउ दिस इज सच एन आयरनी बिकॉज राम is vigrahvan dharma, he is sakshat dharma, he is embodied personified dharma, he is मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम, और इनको यहां पे कहा जा रहा है वो तो मोही है. और ये माखन चोर नटखट नंदलाल वो निर्मोही है. ऐसे क्यों? ये बन बन ढूंढत फिरे, बिकॉज राम जी is so smitten, is so much into his wife that once she's taken away, he's searching in the forest here and there, asking the trees and flowers, kahan gayi, kahan gayi, kahan gayi. This agony of pain and separation can only come through moha. इसलिए दशरथ का लाल मोही है, लेकिन वो नंदलाल जो है उनजु तजय ब्रजबाल, he has given away or he has given aside all the brajbalas or all the gopis. He's saying, I'm not meeting you, and the gopis have to go and search for him. So on the one hand, Ram has to go and search for Sita ji. On the other hand, gopis have to go finding for Krishna. He says, I am not interested in you. So it's a beautiful poetic aside on this whole situation. Mohi Dasaratha Lal hai, Nirmohi Nandalal, ye ban ban dhundata phire, unuju tujay brajabal. So this context now we'll build. Jayashree, I'll just come back to you. We'll build further. Now for Krishna, you have to keep on telling कि भाई ये भगवान है, बच्चा नहीं है, माखन चोर नहीं है. For Ram, you have to keep on saying, अरे भाई ये human नहीं है, ये तो भगवान है. So Krishna is the younger brother, Ram is the elder brother. Krishna is Leela Purushottam, Ram is Maryada Purushottam. Ram is Sakshat Dharma. He represents Dharma. He is Dharma personified. What does Krishna say in the Gita? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam. Give up all your dharmas and come to me. Only come to my recourse. So these two people are the same thing, and they are accessible through entirely opposite means, because they represent a reality which is not accessible through logic. I thought I'll just bring this up because it's also tied up. Secondly, gopis have to be told to do worldly things. So it is said that the great rishis, yogis, munis, they keep on meditating, they keep on thinking. लेकिन उनको भगवान के दर्शन कभी कभार एक फ्लैश ऑफ इनसाइट जैसे हो जाते हैं, नहीं तो उनकी तपस्या चलती रहती है. लेकिन ये गोपी है, वो तो they forget to sell curd, they forget to sell buttermilk because they are completely smitten by Krishna. तो एक तरफ गोपियों को निकालना पड़ता है कि भाई कृष्ण को छोड़ दो, दुनियादारी करो, और दूसरी तरफ हमें दुनियादारी से दूर ध्यान लगा के बैठना पड़ता है to get that flash of insight to divinity. So Ram and Krishna are one and the same thing, but they are given these various forms of Leela so that based on our personalities, moods, upbringings, frame of mind, state of mind, we can access them through these various aspects. So Mohi Dasrath Lal hai, Nirmohi Nandlal. So now all the doubts of Satiji are set to rest as to this Ram, who's Dashrath's son, is the same as that Brahman. And now we'll move on to the next Doha Chaupai block, which is 54. Before we move on there, any questions? Yeah, Jayashree.
Yeah, hi, Santosh. Actually, no questions, but I wanted to just highlight that it was so beautiful what Ram and Satyaji's interaction, because it just actually tells us that how he separated the person from the act,
Exactly.
right? And then when he actually spoke to the person, he reminded the person of their strengths. It's just so beautiful that, all this is what we have to do, is separate the person from the act and interact with the person by highlighting their strengths. It was a very insightful part of Rāmacaritamānasa, and thank you for reminding us.
I mean, there's this book, The Art of Winning Friends and Influencing People, or something
Yes,
like
yes,
that.
Dale Carnegie, I think. Is that Dale Carnegie one?
Norman Vincent Peale or Dale Carnegie, I don't know, one of the two. But I
Oh,
mean, this
it's
is
Dale Carnegie. Yeah,
It's
that's
Dale
good.
Carnegie.
And let me tell you that I've read a lot of biographies, and that book has influenced some of the greatest people in our world who've used it as a Bible. So, yeah, including Warren Buffett and the one who started Havells. Havells is a big company in India,
Yeah.
Keemat Raiji. He was not so educated, but one of his Bibles was this book.
Art of Winning Friends
Yes,
and
the one we
Influencing
talked
People.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of his Bibles. He was not so educated. He just used the book as a Bible. And so did Warren
And
Buffett.
this is showing exactly that art. How
Yeah,
do you,
yeah. But you
when
know
you're
what is fascinating? That this text was written when and how this text is still valid.
Yeah.
And I wish we were just made to read this text in our schooling days and told us कि बर्ताव कैसे करते हैं, behavior क्या होता है, human interaction क्या होता है. Because life is about relationships and interactions. Right?
Very true.
It's
Very
beautiful. Thank you for that. I wouldn't take up more time.
Yeah. Thanks, Jayashree, for that remark. Yeah, Sajali, you had something to say.
Yeah. So one, of course, the deftness and the prowess of Tulsi ji. I mean, in one chopai, he has literally one chopai. He has resolved Parvati ji's doubt. And all the ihu and all those little words. But the thought which comes to me is that Ramji can see the kapat. And then he's also saying, but this is my Maya, my Prakriti. And so on the one hand, that is happening. On the other hand, he can't see whether Sita is lost or where is the location, right? So this doesn't, for me, it doesn't sit together as yet. And then I'm thinking that and then last time you told us about the yugas, and how many Ramayans and the Ram stories have been, Katha Anand,
Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta.
Hari Anand, right? So in some way, it's all coming together for me to say that he has to play out that agony because of the role. And it's just becoming a bit of a muddle in my head. So I just thought I'd put it across and see how you're going to tie it all together, if at all.
See, it's his Leela ultimately, right? I mean, he fully knows where Sita is. In fact, as we say, there's no spoiler to this story because everyone knows the story. But in the Rāmacaritamānasa, Sita that has been taken away by Ravana is not the real Sita. She's a Maya Sita. So Ram is fully in the know of what's happening. He's just putting up an act. And Nani ke aage Nanihal ki baatein. You have this Ram who's putting up this grand act, and Sati ji comes dressed up as Sita. So ye to Nani ke aage Nanihal ki baatein ho gayi na. Ram itself he's putting up a grand act. So he can obviously see through Sati's act. And Ram is just moving around in the forest because the ultimate aim is to kill Ravana. But in Goswamiji's version of the Ramayana, it is not the real Sita that is taken away. It is the Maya Sita. He creates a Maya Sita. The real Sita goes in fire and is kept there until the Maya Sita. But we'll unfold that story when we reach it. But to answer your question, Ram is very much fully in the know. It's just an act. He's enacting it. Yeah, Ekta.
Yeah. Just wanted to add, आपने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले you talked about how Sati को शक होता है, and even before that, I think you were talking about you can justify everything. I mean, this is just one of those thoughts that kind of whatever. I mean, they kind of a sort of a sliver of wisdom that kind of comes to you at different times in your life, and this thought has been constantly it has constantly kind of stood up every single time anything that has happened. There are always, of course, two sides to a story, and you can always justify everything in this world, in this Maya or in this sphere. But eventually, there is something that is right and there is something that is wrong. And what I really want to say here is that the way you are presenting it through the text, jo aap wo mahinta aap nikal rahe ho, the finer aspects of even that wo iha jo aapne samjhaya abhi, I mean, that was just so beautiful. I think I'll have to listen to it 3-4 times to kind of understand. But how, something you already are kind of aware of, even the stories, jo aap abhi Sati aur Ram ki kahani bata rahe ho, how she confronted him in disguise. I know how the story pans out. I know the consequences and how it will eventually kind of move forward. But there are layers that you are adding through this Rāmacaritamānasa that is just, I don't know what, it's just making it richer in my head. So.
Yeah, but I must say I'm just regurgitating what the great commentators have already done before. So there's nothing new in what I'm saying. I mean, if you compare the quality of the great commentators like Swami Akhandananda Saraswati, Pandit Vijayananda Tripathi, Manas Piyush, this is dishwater. The real Amrit is there. So if you really want to go to the source, you need to, read up those books.
Maybe in time. I've actually just heard it. I've heard it so much that it's there, it's there in my daily life, literally, I mean, slivers from this great book. But so it's nice. This is my first time that I'm actually listening to the whole Ramayana through a book, Rāmacaritamānasa. I've never kind of sat down and listened. So this is just another level. So thank you.
As they say, no one listens to the Ramayana for the first time. So aapne Ramayana ki katha pehli baar kab suni? I mean, everyone knows the story somehow, like, because ever since one is a toddler, one is told one part of the story or some other part of the story. So as they say, no one listens to or no one reads the Ramayana for the first time. Anyhow, I wanted to have an additional remark over here because last time we had some discussion around this Agyata and why is Sati having a doubt? And why is Shivji, why is the male never in doubt and why is the female always having a doubt? We had that kind of gender perspective. तो एक बात मैं यहाँ पे कहना चाहूंगा कि तुलसीदास जी के बारे में जो स्त्री विमर्श है उसकी चर्चा हम अलग से कर सकते हैं. We can have a dedicated session to talk of स्त्री विमर्श in Goswami ji. लेकिन we need to be aware that we should not throw the baby out with the bath water. So for example, over here, Nari, Subhava, Prabhav is clearly indicating that, women are always doubting things and creating some kind of act. Now, this on the one hand is representing our own doubt. So Sati over here represents this continuous hum of doubt and avishwas that we have. In fact, the next Dohā, which talks of the example of milk and curd, will explain that and elaborate that even further. But I do not also want to write an apology for Goswami ji. So there are many places in which he has his perspective of his time, but we should not apply that frame to every such context in which he's talking of men and women. Over here, this is representing doubt. There are moments in which he's clearly having a certain patriarchal gendered view, but that when we reach those moments, we'll talk about that in more elaboration. So as I said, Stri Vimarsh of Tulsidas is a very big topic. And we can also have quotes from Kabir ji, from Dadu Dayal, from Tukaram Maharaj, from Gautam Buddha or Buddhist literature. All of them are somehow having such references. So Goswami ji over there, unfortunately, is not alone in making such references. But over here, this particular reference is basically for self-doubt. It's not really related to Nari Vimarsh. Okay. So Rama Bachanam Mridu Gudha Suni Upaja Ati Sankochu Sati Sabhi Tamahe Sapahi Chali Hridaya Bada Sochu. And now she's going back to Shivji with what shall I do now? The test has been taken. Ramji ko jo kehna tha wo unhone to keh diya. See, most of the times if you've made a mistake and if you get a tongue lashing, you feel relieved. Chalo bhai, ye ho gaya. I'm done with it. But over here, she knows that Ram knows, but Ram doesn't say a word. And that has created more agony because she's not out of it. Because, Ram has left that doubt saying, yeah, you were just dressed up as someone else, but that's okay. Usme kapat kya hai, And that creates more agony. Because you often see that with kids, you give them that tongue lashing and then they're fine. They have a good night's sleep. But if you just, aap kuch bhi na kahe, to then get very irritated. what happened, what happened, what happened. Similarly, Sati ji is in that mode that Ram ji ne to kuch kaha hi nahi aur meri shanka bhi chali gayi. And then with that thinking, confused mind, she goes back to Shiv ji. So now Chaupai Doha block number 54. मैं शंकर कर कहा न माना, निज अज्ञानु राम पर आना, जाई उतरु अब देहु काहा, उर उपजाति दारुण दाहा, जाना राम सती दुख पावा, निज प्रभाव कछु प्रगति जनावा, सती दीख कौतुक मग जाता, आगे राम सहित श्री भ्राता, फिर चितवा पाछे प्रभु देखा, सहित बंधु सिय सुंदर बेखा, जह चित वही तह प्रभु आसीना, से वही सिद्ध मुनि स प्रवीणा, देखे शिव विधि विष्णु अनेका, अमित प्रभाव एक ते का, बंदत चरण करत प्रभु सेवा, विविध बेस देखे सब देवा, सती विधात्री इंदिरा, देखी अमित अनूप, जेहि जेहि बेस अजादि सुर, तेहि तेहि तन अनुरूप, मैं शंकर कर कहा न माना. I did not listen to what Shivji was telling me, says Satiji to herself. So we are now back to the third layer of the dialogue, in which again the conversation of Sati and Shivji has started, and Sati is now thinking to herself, Nija Agyanu, because it's saying मैं, it's the first person now. It's not Goswamiji. So we have said that there are these 4 layers of dialogues. Goswamiji to us, Yajnavalkya and Bharadwaj, Shivji and Parvatiji, and Garuda and Kakbhushundi. But it's not like direct speech. Kakbhushundi says to Garuda, open quote, close quote. It doesn't operate like that. These are very gently mixed layers. And over here, because we have मैं, and it is Sati speaking, we know that the conversation is back to Shivji and Parvatiji. Whatever Goswamiji had to say is now done. मैं शंकर कर कहा न माना. I did not listen to what Shivji was telling me. Nija agyanu. I imposed my own lack of knowledge and self-doubt onto him. And this is what all of us do day in and day out. So I think it was Churchill or someone, probably it was Churchill, who had said that when we look at other people's personalities with our own myopic eye, we superimpose our limitations onto them. So we have our own lack of knowledge, our own doubts, and we meet people who say something, who do something, and we see that through our own limited myopic eye and misrepresent it, misinterpret it, misunderstand it. And that's exactly what Sati ji is now realizing. She's having that remorse, that moment of self-realization, or at least that moment in which she realizes her own mistake, if not her own self, in which she's saying, Nija agyanu Rama para ana. Maine apna jo agyan tha wo Ram ji pe thopa. He was what he was. He is what he is. But I put my doubts onto him. Jai utaru ab dehu kaha ura upaja ati daro daha. And she says, now if I go back to Shivji, what answer will I give to him? If he asks me, Pariksha ho gayi, Sanshay mit gaya, what answer will I give to him? Ura upaja ati daro nadaha. And her heart started burning with this irritation, with this sorrow, with this remorse that she had for realizing her own limitation and its superimposition on something higher. Jana Rama Sati Dukhupava. And Ram, being Antarjami, is also residing in Sati's mind. So thinking, the Sati, while she was thinking as such, Ram realized that, okay, she's now in a phase of remorse. Let's add some element of fun over here so that she gets out of it. Jana Rama Sati Dukhupava. Ram recognized that Sati ji ko kuch dukh hua hai. Nija prabhav kachu pragati janava. And he says, okay, now let me show who I am to her. So this is also so beautiful. Kausalya, we saw that verse last time. And I think later also there's Aganita Ravi Shashi Shiva Chaturanana Bahugiri Sarita Sindhu Mahikanana. The whole world is seen in his mouth. The same Vishwarup is also seen by Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. But that is shown when the Bhakta needs that. Over here it is reversed because it is Sati, it is doubt. She has understood who Ram is, but he says, still I'll show you who I am because you are doubt personified. So I'll make sure that you've really got who I am. And he says, आपको जो दुख हो रहा है कोई दिक्कत नहीं, हम थोड़ा एक इसमें और लीला करते हैं. निज प्रभाव कछु प्रगति जना. I'll show you the real effect of who I really am. Sati dikha kautukam gajata. And Sati ji is now going back to Kailasa, thinking to herself, saying, what have I done? You know, my limitations I've superimposed on Ram. And then suddenly she sees Aage Ramu Sahita Shri Bhrata. She's seeing Ram, Sita and Lakshman right in front of her. And she's like, what happened? I just saw Ramji, he recognized me. I was already in a tizzy saying how he recognized me. I was dressed up as Sita. And now I see Sita, Lakshman and Ram in front of me. What is going on? Hirichitava pache Prabhu dekha. She looked back. She again saw Ram, Sita and Lakshman over there. Sahita bandhusiya sundara besa. With both Lakshman and Sita dressed up beautifully. And then she started looking everywhere else. Jahachita vahitaha Prabhu asina. Wherever she saw, Ram was sitting. Sevahi siddha munisa prabhina. Great munis, siddhas, rishis were offering their prayers, worships and glories to him. And she suddenly saw this Vishwarup darshan in a way. So, last time what we had covered through the Yuga cycle, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. Going back to what I think Jayashri, you were saying earlier, you know, Ramji has told of such a beautiful way in how to interact with people who doubt you, what is the right way of speech, etc. So over here, our tradition builds up on what has already been said. So the scale of time is when Ramji comes again and again, which is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. But in that verse, Bhagwan says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Oh, then he goes on to say, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam. To kill the bad and to protect the sadhus, I am born again and again. But Mauli, Jnaneshwar Mauli, in his Pasayadan, which is a commentary on the Gita, he says, Duritan se timirazao, je kharanchi vyankati sando. Those who are sad, let their sadness go. Those who are bad, let their badness go. He doesn't say, I'll kill them. He prays that those who are bad, those who are ill-willed, let their ill will go. वो जो दुष्ट है, उनकी व्यंकटी, उनकी जो दुष्टता है, वो गिर जाए, वो न मरे. So the tradition has built up on this. So anyhow, the reference to time was that Sambhavami Yuge Yuge, to protect the good and to kill the bad, I am born again and again. Over here, the time repetition of Ram is done last time. Now here is the space repetition of Ram. आगे देखो राम जी है, पीछे देखो राम जी है, ऊपर देखो राम जी है, नीचे देखो राम जी है, अंदर देखो राम जी है. वो अंदर है, बाहर है, अंदर भी है, बाहर भी है. बस भी और ही का फर्क है. So over here, the spatial omnipresence of Ram is being portrayed. Last time we saw the temporal omnipresence of Ram, because space and time are his creation. How can he not be in space and time? So over here, he's showing Sati, I am not only in this and every moment, I am in this and every space. Aage, piche, wherever. So she sees not only Ram, she sees Ram, Lakshman and Sita all over wherever she's looking at, all of them beautifully dressed. Sometimes great siddhas and rishis are worshipping him, and she just doesn't get what is going on. Dekhe Siva Vidhi Vishnu Aneka. And then for every such Ram that is there, she sees with him Shivji. She's Bidhi, which is Brahmaji. She also sees Vishnuji. So जहां जहां राम है वहां उनको शिव जी, ब्रह्मा जी और विष्णु जी उनको नमन करते हुए दिखाई पड़े. अमित प्रभाव एकते एका. And all of them are powerful in themselves. Shivji, Brahmaji, Vishnuji, they themselves are omnipowerful, omnipotent, omnipresent, and they are bowing down to Shri Ram. Dekhe Siva Vidhi Vishnu Aneka, Amit Prabhav Ekate Eka, Bandata Charana Karata Prabhu Seva. Someone is bowing down to their feet, someone is doing their seva. Aaj Nanda ke dware bheed bheed. You know, when Krishna is born, someone is distributing sweets, koi to cheer kisi ko de raha, someone is distributing a sari, koi gorochan laga raha hai. You know, everyone is busy in these activities at the birth of Krishna. Similarly, everyone is busy in the activities of worshipping Ram in one way or the other. Koi charan vandana kar raha hai, koi Prabhu ki seva kar raha hai. Bibidha Besha Dekhe Sabadeva. And all the gods she saw dressed up in their individual dresses as their personalities permitted. Sati Bidhatri Indira, she saw herself. सती जी ने ये सब राम की दुनिया में खुद को देखा. सती विधात्री, द वाइफ ऑफ विधि, ब्राह्मणी, इंदिरा, लक्ष्मी. तो ये सब जो तीनों देव है, शिव जी, विष्णु जी और विधि, ब्रह्मा जी, उनकी पत्नियां. सती तो शिव जी की है, विधात्री विधि की है, ब्राह्मणी, और विष्णु जी की पत्नी लक्ष्मी जी है, इंदिरा. देखी अमित अनूप. She saw many such divine goddesses. So basically the consorts of the gods together. Jehi jehi besh ajadi sura tehi tehi tana anurup. And over there they were also dressed appropriately. Brahma ji in his resplendent white, Shiv ji in his avgar jnani naramunda, wearing skeletons around his head, Vishnu shining through those golden flowing robes. All of them had dressed up and decked up as was appropriate to their personalities. She saw herself over there as Shivji's consort Sati. She saw Lakshmi and Vishnu. She saw Brahma and Brahmani or Saraswati. All of them she saw together over there. And she was completely dazed, as they say. So basically over here, Ramji showed through this little Leela that he's omnipresent, which is to say he's across time, and he's omnipotent, which is to say he is across space. The potency of him is कण कण में शिव जी है. In Varanasi, if you go, they say बनारस के कण कण में शिव जी है. Why Banaras? दुनिया के कण कण में शिव जी है. Divinity is all pervading. It is everywhere. It is only for us to see. Grace does not shower based on whether you understand it or not. Grace showers upon us uniformly, universally. It is up to us to receive it because ultimately it also resides within us. And through this little act, Ramji has shown his true form to Sati, that he is within, he is without, he is everywhere, so much so that Sati herself is being seen outside. अब यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा we have to understand what is going on, because राम तो विष्णु जी के अवतार है, तो विष्णु जी उनकी सेवा क्यों कर रहे हैं? ब्रह्मा जी और शिव जी कर रहे हैं, ये तो ठीक है. So this is called, I think, if you believe in the omnipresent and omnipotent nature of divinity. Now again, I ask for attention for 5 minutes because we are going back to philosophy. If you believe in the omnipresent, omnipotent nature of divinity, if you also believe that that divinity resides within us, then everything becomes divine. And based on your mood and your place in time, whatever you are worshipping has the highest potency. For Goswami ji, it is Ram. For Surdas, it is Krishna. Shiv Puran mein Shiv ji becomes the most prominent. Ganesh Puran mein Ganesh ji becomes the most prominent. क्योंकि ये पंच देवता जो हैं, उनका भेद दिखाने का कारण ही यही है कि वो अंततोगत्वा एक है. You have grace of Ganesha, you have Tirodhan of Devi, you have Surya in the form of Brahma as creation, you have Vishnu in the form of Krishna as sustenance, and you have Shiva in the form of Shiva himself, or the Linga as destruction, you have Devi as Shakti or Tirodhan, and you have Ganesha as grace. And all these five are worshipped as five deities. But if you are a Ganapatya, you will think of Ganesh as being omnipotent. If you are a Shaiva, it will be Shiva. If you are a Vaishnava, it will be Krishna or Vishnu or whoever, or Ram, whoever you are worshipping. So basically, because we are dealing with Goswami ji's Anapayini Bhakti, it has nothing else but Bhakti of Ram. Everything else becomes subservient to Ram. That does not mean that the other deities are any less. It just means that all of them represent a higher truth, which is all pervading. It is within us. And that divinity we are accessing through these pegs of these five Shaktis. Tirodhan Rupa Shakti, grace Rupa Ganesh, creation in the form of Brahma represented by Surya, destruction in the form of Shiva or Rudra, and sustenance in the form of Vishnu and Krishna. All of them represent ultimately the same divine truth. And that truth comes again and again and takes avatar. And this is only possible if you believe Kumbhar or Ghada ek hai. We saw that last time. Only then avatar makes any philosophical sense. Otherwise, it will be heresy. If you think of divinity as something exclusively outside us and we as function of that, then this won't work. Divinity is as much within us as it is outside us. So that was the little philosophical context of what Goswami ji's, the story is this, but the philosophy riding on it is what I just tried to encapsulate for a couple of minutes. So Sati ji sees all this around her, and then she's confused कि ये क्या हो गया अचानक से. So Ramji shows his in a way Vishwarup to Sati over here. Any questions thus far? If not, we'll move on to the next Doha, Chaupai Doha block, which is 55. देखे जहाँ तहाँ रघुपति जेते, शक्ति न सहित सकल सुरते ते, जीव चराचर जो संसारा, देखे सकल अनेक प्रकारा, पूजहि प्रभु ही देव बहु बेसा, राम रूप दूसर न ही देखा. Sorry, I missed the curve here. पूजहि प्रभु ही देव बहु बेखा, राम रूप दूसर नहीं देखा, अवलोके रघुपति बहु तेरे, सीता सहित न बेस घनेरे, सोई रघुबर सोई लक्ष्मण सीता, देखि सती अति भई सभीता, हृदय कंपत न सुधि कछु नाही, नयन मूदि बैठी मगमाही, बहुरी बिलो के नयन उघारी, कछु न दीखत दक्ष कुमारी, पुनि पुनि नाई राम पद सीसा, चली तहाँ जह रहे गिरीसा, गई समीप महेश तब, हसी पूछी कुशलात, लीनी परीक्षा कवन विधि, कहूँ सत्य सब बात, देखे जहाँ तहाँ रघुपति जेते. So wherever she saw as many Raghupatis over there, and now her doubt has been settled. So she uses the word Raghupati. She saw the prince of the Raghu clan, who was also Brahman because he was all pervading and everywhere, wherever she was looking. Saktina Sahita Sakala Suratete, and with their respective Shaktis, with their feminine sides, she also saw all the gods. None of our gods, without exception, probably maybe one or two exceptions, like Brahmachari gods, are without a consort. You will never worship Vishnu alone. It will always be Lakshmi Vishnu. It will always be Sita Ram. It will always be Gopi Krishna. So their strength, their potency is accessible to us only through their consorts. It is through Sita that we reach Ram. It is through Gopi that we reach Krishna. It is through Parvati that we reach Shiva. It is through Lakshmi that we reach Vishnu. And these, the Prakriti Rupa or Maya Rupa or Shakti Rupa, feminine deities, if they turn their faces away from divinity, then you get into Dunyadari or Maya. If it turns its face towards divinity, then it is Shakti Rupa pulling you back to divinity, which is why Lakshmi is always pressing the feet of Vishnu. Because if that feminine side has turned its face towards the divine, then it has access to the divine. If it turns away, then we always say Lakshmi to chanchal hoti hai. Aaj aapke paas hai, kal nahi rahegi. But if she is subservient to divinity, then she is eternally in the Kshira Sagar together with Mahavishnu. Anyhow, but now going back to what we were saying earlier, if you look at the Devi Bhagavat, the Devi becomes the mother of all three, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Now this is again possible because all of them represent the same thing. In the Devi Bhagavat, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh become children of Devi. So this can get very confusing. The only resolution to the confusion is any deity that you are worshipping, be it a goddess, be it Hanumanji, be it Ganesha, they all represent the same truth. वो बस एक रूप दिया गया है ताकि आप you have access to upasana. Anyhow, so Saktina Sahita Sakala Suratete, she saw all the suras with their respective consorts or shaktis. Jiva Charachara Jo Sansara, जो भी इस संसार में जीव है, चराचर है, animate beings, inanimate beings, mobile beings, immobile beings. Dekhe sakala aneka prakara. She saw many such types of all these beings in this world around where she was seeing Ram, Lakshman and Sita. Puja hi prabhu hi deva bahu besa. All the gods were worshipping Sri Ram in their respective dresses. Rama Rupa Dusara nahi dekha. But wherever she saw, the form of Ram was the same, which is to say that divinity is A, omnipresent, B, it is one, and C, it is the same within and without. So Advaita Vedanta is in 100% agreement with Sankhya, only with two toppings. One topping is Ishvara has to be there, which is given by the Yoga Sutra, Ishvara Pranidhanata. And another topping, that Ishvara, which is outside, has to be the same within, Brahmatma Aikya. So if you add to the Sankhya system, Brahmatma Aikya and the existence of Ishvara, it is in complete agreement. Bas 19-20 ka farak hai. Because the Sankhya system relegates Ishvara and it does not finally unite divinity within us. Whereas Vedanta does that final capstone, so to say. And then niche to sab kuch Sankhya hi hai, Sankhya hi Sankhya. So much so that the Bhagavad Gita often uses Sankhya for Gyan Yoga. So, Jiva Charachara Jo Sansara Dekhe Sakala Aneka Prakara पूज ही प्रभु ही देव बहु बेसा राम रूप दूसरा नहीं देखा अवलोके रघुपति बहु तेरे सीता सहित न बेश घनेरे. And wherever she saw so many Shri Rams, in all these portrayals of them, they were wearing the same dress. The gods were changing their dresses. आगे विष्णु जी ने कुछ और पहना है, आगे पीला पहना है, पीछे मजेंटा पहना है, ये तरफ कुछ और रंग का पहना है. But wherever she was seeing Ram, Lakshman and Sita, the three of them were always in the same dress, which is to say that that divinity is one, it is omnipresent, it is omnipotent, it is both within and without. Soi Raghubara Soi Lakshmanu Sita, the same Raghubar, the same Lakshman and the same Sita, Dekhi Sati Ati Bhai Sabhita. And when she saw this, she suddenly got scared. Because understanding is one thing, seeing it and experiencing it is another thing. पहले तो उनको समझ में आया, लेकिन अब वो देख रही हैं. This is the same as Vishwarup Darshan in Bhagavad Gita, in which Arjuna says, please come back to your usual form. I don't want you like this. And she's scared seeing all this. Hrudaya kampatana sudhika chunai. Her heart started agitating. Her body started shaking. She lost sense of even her bodily being. Nayana mudi baithi magamahi. She just closed her eyes and sat down so that the body could adjust to all these things that she was seeing. And then bahuri biloke nayana ubhari. And then ultimately, when the mind was quietened, the body had regained its composure, she slowly opened her eyes. Kachuna dikhatah dacha kumari. She saw nothing. There was no Ram, there was no Lakshman, there was no Sita. Everything was gone. Puni puni nai Rama padasisa. Then again and again she bowed down to that Ram which was both outside and within her. Chali taha jaha rahe gerisa. And then she went back where the Lord of the mountains, Shivji, was residing, which is to say, she went back to Kailasa. Gai samipa mahesa taba hasi puchi kusalat. Then she went to Shivji, and then when she went near him, Shivji gave back that smile that he had left her with. You know, when she went also, he had smiled. She's back now and he's smiling again. And then puchi kusalat. Sab theek to hai Sati ji? Are you okay? Are you fine? How are you? और ये सब क्षेम कुशल पूछने के बाद लीन ही परीक्षा कवन विधि. By what way did you do the test? कहहु सत्य सब बात. Tell me everything. I'm very curious to know. You know, the greatest joy of companionship is the ability to share. You know, when a kid comes home from school, at school mein kya hua? You know what? Aaj ye hua. When a partner comes back home, you know, mundane things. And that's exactly the conversation of Shiv. Batao kaise hua, kya hua, what pariksha did. Tell me everything that happened. And over here we come to the pause of the Mas Parayan. So if you are doing the Manas part on a monthly basis, this is the second stop of day 2. So far we have covered 2 days of the Rāmacaritamānasa from a 30-day part. Any questions thus far?
So not a question really, but so in the earlier Doha Chaupai block, Sri Ram refers to himself as the son of Dashrath.
Yes.
And then Parvati ji is well satisfied and not. And then in this Chaupai block, he then gets into the other aspect of it, which is the omnipresence. Somehow that's how it is covered, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
First he shows he's omnipotent. He knows he's all-knowing. He knows who Sati is.
All-knowing. That's correct.
I'm omnipresent. I'm everywhere.
Got it. Yeah, thanks.
And then she bows down to Raghupati because she's now convinced that he's coming in that form again and again. So he's not only all-knowing, he's all-pervading, both in space and in time, because space and time emanate from him. Leen hi pariksha kavana vidhi kahu satya sababat. So now Shivji is very curious to know. he's asking her to explain back. So he needs some sati-splaining now. He's done his mansplaining earlier, saying ye aise mat karo, ye wahi hai. But aapne pariksha li, so give me some sati-splaining now. And now Sati ji is going to tell him, or not. Let's see what happens in the next Doha Chaupai block, which is 56. The next Chaupai Doha block, which is 56. Sati samujhe raghubir.
Question, Santosh.
Oh,
Sarojji
sorry.
has a question.
Sorry, ma'am. I didn't see your.
या
Yeah,
मैं
yes. Yeah.
इससे छोटा सा एक ऑब्जर्वेशन कहना चाहती हूँ
जी.
कि दोनों ही लोग श्री राम जी और श्री शंकर जी कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि वो मनुष्य के धरातल पर आकर मनुष्य जैसी बात करें। तो राम जी ने भी उन्हें तो मालूम था क्या हुआ है और क्या नहीं हुआ है, फिर भी उन्होंने पार्वती जी को ऐसा दर्शाया कि वो नहीं जानते हैं और ये बताया कि आपका रूप तो मैं पहचानता ही हूँ, और एक साधारण मनुष्य की तरह कहा कि आप यहाँ क्या कर रही हैं, ये तो कोई सही जगह नहीं है अकेले घूमने की, तो आपके पति कहाँ है, वो आप कहाँ कर। तो एक मनुष्य के धरातल पे आके उन्होंने उनसे ऐसी बात कही। इसी प्रकार शंकर जी भी यही कर रहे हैं कि उन्होंने तो सब जान ही लिया है कि क्या हुआ था क्या नहीं, लेकिन वो एक साधारण मनुष्य के धरातल पे आके पत्नी से पूछ रहे हैं कि अच्छा बताओ तो सही, तुम तो परीक्षा लेने गई थी तो क्या हुआ वहां पे, हालांकि मालूम तो सभी कुछ है। तो ईश्वर कई बार मनुष्य रूप में मनुष्य की तरह ही व्यवहार करने का कोशिश करते हैं, और इसीलिए वो फिर हम भी आइडेंटिफाई मोर विद व्हाट दे डू। दैट्स ऑल, नथिंग एल्स। यू आर डूइंग वेल, गो ऑन।
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, exactly. So we have this access to divinity because it acts like a human being. We had seen that verse. Chachiyabhara chachako nach nachave. This Krishna, who is all-knowing, all-powerful, he wants a little bit of buttermilk, and the gopi says, "No, nacho, mere liye nacho," and he dances for them so that he gets that. That all-knowing, all-powerful, all-pervading Chachiyabhara chachako nach nachave. That's the humanization of divinity that is being seen over here. So Shivji is asking, "Batao, kya hua? What happened?" Sati samujhe raghubir prabhau bhaya bas sivasana kinha durau kachuna parichha linhi gosai kinha pranamu tumhari hinai jo tum kaha so mrishan hoi मोरे मन प्रतीति अति सोई तब शंकर देखे धरि ध्याना सती जो कीन्ह चरित सब जाना बहुरी राम मायहि सिरुनावा प्रेरि सती जहि झूठ कहावा हरि इच्छा भावी बलवाना हृदय विचारत शंभु सुजाना सती कीन्ह सीता कर बेसा शिव उर भयउ विषाद विशेषा जो अब करऊं सती सन प्रीति मिटई भगति पथु होई अनीति परम पुनीत न जाइत जी किए प्रेम बड़ पापु प्रगति न कहत महेश कछु हृदय अधिक संतापु. Now Shivji and Sati ji are together, and Sati samujhe raghubir prabhau bhaya basa sivasana kinha durau. Sati ji has now fully understood what is the potency of Shri Ram, but she's scared to admit this to Shivji, and then she doesn't tell him anything. She says nothing about the pariksha. She just says, "Kachuna pariksha lina gosai kinha pranamu tumhari nai." I went. You had asked me to do those things that are necessary, applying my discrimination, my discretion, such that my moha is addressed. In front of you, I was arguing, but when I was going there, I was convinced that he is what he is. So just like you had done earlier, Jai Satchidanand, I went there, I bowed down to him, and I came back because she's not ready to admit that she had committed a mistake. Tava Shankara dekheu dhari dhyana. Sati jo keenha charita sabu jana. At that time, Shankara, Shivji, went into a trance, into a meditative trance, and then he found out what Sati ji had done. See, these are siddhis to know what is happening in the other person's mind. And that we are not possessed by them is a blessing. Just imagine that you know what is going on in everyone else's mind right now. हम तो बिल्कुल विक्षिप्त चित्त हो जाएंगे. जिनके पास ये सिद्धियां हैं, they are cursed. If these siddhis are 24/7 active. लेकिन शिवजी तो शिवजी है, so he can switch them off and switch them on as he wants them. And then he says, okay, let me find out what Sati ji did. So he went into dhyan, and then he sees everything that Sati ji has done. तब शंकर देखेउ धरि ध्याना सती जो कीन चरित सबुहि. And he saw the whole thing playing out before his eyes, and he knew that Sati ji is not telling him the whole story. बहुरी राम माया ही सिरुनावा. And then he says, ये भी राम की माया ही है कि सती जी को पहले शंका हुई, वो शंका का निरासन हुआ, लेकिन अभी भी वो मुझसे सत्य बात कह नहीं रही है, क्योंकि वो साक्षात माया रूपा प्रकृति ही है. अपने स्वभावानुसार ही वो बर्ताव कर रही है. She is enacting her role. This is Ram's Maya. What can I do? If she starts speaking the truth, she won't any longer be the worldly looking Maya. She is representing that, so she has to play her role. And this is Ram's Maya. What can I do? Bahuri Rama Maya Si Sirunava. I bow down to that Maya. Preri Sati hi jehi jhuta kahava. Because of whose motivation, even Sati told me a lie or spoke untruth. Hari Ichha Bhavi Balavana. It is God's will. What can I do? That takes the most potency. Hrudaya bicharata sambhu sujana. Now remember, in none of these dialogues is any explicit exchange happening. Satiji does the trick. Lakshman knows who she is, but he keeps mum. Ramji knows who she is and then bows down to her and tells her, I am Dashrath's son, or tells her, you are Dakshasuta's Kanya. And then he makes sure he knows who she is by saying, oh, but by the way, where's your husband? There is no reply from Sati at all. Satiji does not utter a word. She comes to Shivji, doesn't tell him the whole truth. Shivji doesn't say you're lying. He sees what has happened and he just says, okay, so be it. You don't have to always show that you know. He says, okay, it is Hari's Ichha that she's just enacting her role, so be it. Sati keen sita kar besa siva ura bhayau bisada bisesa. But Shivji was really tormented in his mind, saying, इन्होंने तो सीता जी का वेश धारण किया है, and she is Sati. She is having her own potency. She is not some airy gairy nathu kheri नहीं है वो, she Sati जी है. उन्होंने सीता जी का वेश धारण किया है. सीता जी मेरे लिए माता स्वरूप है, अब वो मेरे लिए माता बन गई, because she has enacted Sita's role. और उनके मन में बहुत विषाद हुआ that Sati had to do such a thing. Sati कीन सीता कर बेशा, that she has taken the form of Sita. उनके मन में बहुत विषाद हुआ इसका. जो अब करऊं सती सन प्रीति मिटई भगति पथु होई अनीति. If I now start loving Sati back again, my bhakti for Ram and Mata Sita will be blemished because she has taken the form of Sita. So from now, she becomes to me a mother. So if I love her again as Sati, it will be a blemish on my anapayini bhakti, on my unblemished and completely dedicated bhakti. Param punitana jayitaji. Now he is in a quandary. She's very pious. She's Sati. She's Sakshat Sati. I cannot just give her away. Just see the dialogue that the text is doing. Ramji then has to send away Sita to the forest, at least in the Valmiki Ramayana. रामजी ने सीता जी का त्याग किया है वाल्मीकि कथा में, लेकिन गोस्वामी जी शंकर जी की तरफ से बुलवा रहे हैं कि हाउ कैन आई लेट गो ऑफ सती. वो तो पुण्यवान है. आई कैन जस्ट काइंड ऑफ लेट गो ऑफ हर. शी इज सती. एट द सेम टाइम वहां पे नीचे राम जी और सीता जी एक दूसरे से दूर हो गए हैं और राम जी के मन में बहुत ही दुख है उनकी मनुष्य रूपी लीला में. यहाँ पे दोनों साथ है. सती इज गोइंग नोवेयर. शिवजी इज नॉट सेइंग I'll let you go. लेकिन दुरावा है, मनमुटाव है. So on the one hand there's physical separation, on the other hand now the separation of the mind has started happening. दूध में खटास पड़ गई. परम पुनीत न जाइत जाय. I cannot give her away simply because she has done this. किए प्रेम बड़ पापू. But if I love her again, it will be a great पाप because she's taken the form of Sita. अगर कोई दूसरी परीक्षा लेती तो भी मैं समझ जाता, लेकिन वो अब तो मेरे लिए भी सीता रूपी हो गई है. Because she's Sati and Sita is like my mother to me, so I cannot love her as Sati again. Pragati na kahata mahesa kachu. He doesn't utter a single word back to Sati. He says, okay, if this is what you did, that's fine. Hrudaya adhika santapu. But his heart starts tormenting. Ultimately, he's Shivji who holds poison in his throat. He's not voicing it out. he's processing it within and is going into a deep contemplative state. We'll read the next Doha Chaupai block and then we'll open up for questions. तब शंकर प्रभु पद सिरुनावा सुमिरत राम हृदय अस आवा एहि तन सति ही भेट मोहि नाही शिव संकल्प कीन्ह मन माही अस विचारि शंकरु मति धीरा चले भवन सुमिरत रघुबीरा चलत गगन भय गिरा सुहाई जय महेश भली भगति दृढ़ाई असपन तुम बिनु करई को आना राम भगत समर्थ भगवाना सुनि न भगिरा सती उर सोचा पूछा शिवहि समेत सकोचा कीन्ह कवन पन कहु कृपाला सत्य धाम प्रभु दीन दयाला जदपि सती पूछा बहु भांति तदपि न कहे त्रिपुर आराती सती हृदय अनुमान किय सबु जाने सर्वज्ञ कीन्ह कपटु मैं संभुसन नारी सहज जड़ अज्ञ जलुपय सरिस बिकाई देखहु प्रीति की रीति भली बिलग होई रसु जाई कपट खटाई परत पुनी तब शंकर प्रभु पद सिरुनावा. After this Sati's ploy of not telling him, remember she is Sati, she is representing doubt. She has to act her role. Her first doubt is now settled, but she's not still giving away. Her kapat is still there. She has to have that veil. So she's putting that veil on Shivji out of all people and saying, let me see, I'll not tell him. वो तो भोले भाले है, मैं बस उनको प्रणाम करके आ गए, which is technically correct. वो तो मैंने किया ही था. So I've committed an act of omission. मैंने आधी अधूरी कहानी बोल दी है. नरोवा कुंजरोवा as they say. हाथी तो मरा, नर था या कुंज था पता नहीं. So मैंने प्रणाम तो किया है, बस मैं उनको I told him the end of the story कि मैं प्रणाम करके आ गई. तब शंकर प्रभु पद सिरुनावा. After that Shivji bowed down in his mind at the feet of Shri Ram. Sumirat Ram hridaya asa ava. And then he thought of Ram and a thought came to his mind. Ehi tana sati hi bhet mohi nahi. I cannot meet Sati again in this body. Till such time as Sati holds this body, I will not meet her again as man and wife. Siva sankalpu keenha manamahi. And he took that pledge in his mind because she for now, for me, is like Sita, like a mother. Asabichari sankaru mati dhira. And this great storehouse of knowledge, Shivji, thought as such, chale bhavana sumirata raghubira, started going back to his abode, thinking of Shri Ram. He's already in his abode in Kailash, so in his palace over there. Chalatagagana bhaya gira suhai. And while he was going back, no, sorry, he's not in the palace. I'll wait below the banyan tree until you come back. So now Satiji has come back to the banyan tree. She's told him this, and now they are going back to the mountain. But in his mind, he's let go of Sati as his wife. But because he loves her and because she is so pious, he doesn't let go of her. But at the same time, he has made up his mind to not get back into conjugal bliss with Sati again. So asabichari sankaru mati dhira chale bhavana sumirata raghubira chalata gagana bhay gira suhai. And while he was moving in the skies, ek akashvani hui jaya mahesh bhali bhagati dridhai. हेल शिव जी जिनकी भक्ति इतनी दृढ़ है कि वो सती जी कपट के रूप में भी अगर सीता का वेश धारण करे तो वो उनके लिए माता बन गई. ऐसी भक्ति अनपायनी, हेल सच भक्ति, हेल शिव जी, ऐसी आकाशवाणी हुई. असपन तुम बिनु करई को आना. And the Akashvani further said, who else but you, Avghardani Shivji, can take such a vow? The Akashvani does not say what the vow is. The Akashvani just says, who else apart from you, O Shivji, can take such a hard vow? Ram Bhagata Samaratha Bhagavana. You are truly Ramji's Bhakta and you are a Samartha, you are potent, and because you are Bhagavan yourself, or राम आप राम जी के भक्त है इसीलिए भगवान ने माने उन्होंने आपको समर्थ किया है. It is his strength that speaks and works for you, and hence of course you can do it. Or because you are Shiv ji, आप छोड़ के और ये अन्य कोई कर ही नहीं सकता. Glory to your bhakti and love for Ram. सुनी न भगीरा सती उर सोचा. Now Sati ji just heard कि आकाशवाणी ऐसे तो कुछ हुई है, न भगीरा नभ में गिरा, आकाश में वाणी ऐसी हुई है कि असपन तुम बिनु करई को आना, no one else can do such, take such a vow like you. And then she starts thinking, oh, what was this vow that Shivji has taken? I don't know anything about it. What is it? Suni nabh gira sati ura socha, पूछा से वही समेत सकोचा. And she's a little embarrassed and asks him, वो क्या आकाशवाणी हुई? कुछ तो मैंने सुना, आपने कुछ पढ़ लिया है, क्या है वो? What is the vow that you have taken? कीन्ह कवनपन कहु कृपाला, O all graceful, tell me what vow you have taken. Satya Dhama, you're the storehouse of truth. You better tell me the whole truth. Prabhu Deena Dayal, you are very graceful also. Jadapi Sati Pucha Bahu Bhati, even if Sati asked him and prodded him from all directions and all angles, Tadapi na kahe u Tripura arati, wo maun mein hi baithe rahe. He said, I'm not going to tell you this because this is only going to cause you more harm. मैं तर्क से क्यों शाखा बढ़ाऊं, मैं तो अब शांत रहूंगा. आपने परीक्षा की, आपने जो परीक्षा की वो ना मुझे बताया, आपको राम जी का स्वरूप ज्ञात हुआ, फिर भी आपने मुझे पूरी परीक्षा बताई नहीं. अब बात करने में कुछ मतलब नहीं, खटास पड़ गई. He is disillusioned. He loves her deeply, but he's disillusioned. And he says, I'm not going to reply to what she's trying to, needle out of me. Sati hridaya anumanakiya sabu janeyu sarvagya. And then suddenly, doubt always has this special quality of being set to rest when it is too late. And this is exactly what is being showed through the character of Sati. It's too late now. And then she says, अरे ये तो सर्वज्ञ है, इनको तो सब कुछ पता है. So Sati hridaya anumanakiya sabu janeyu sarvagya. Kīnha kapatu मैं संभूषण. I have enacted a ploy, a forgery with Shivji. नारी सहज जड़ अज्ञ. मैं तो एक नारी हूं, मैं सहजता से ही जड़ हूं, which is to say I am प्रकृति रूपी माया. मेरा यह स्वभाव ही है, यह जड़ता, यह अज्ञान, यह अविद्या, यह मेरा स्वभाव है सती का, और इसकी रूपा मैं हूं. इसी के कारण मैंने शिवजी से ये कपट किया है. अब स्वाभाविक रूप से प्रश्न हो सकता है कि ये जड़ का आरोप नारी पर ही क्यों, लेकिन ऐसी बात नहीं है. If we go to Dohā Chaupai block number 51, Ekta, I'll come back to you. If we go to Dohā Chaupai block earlier, when Sati is having this doubt, Vishnu jo surahita narat anudharit. We are in Dohā Chaupai block number 51 now. Vishnu jo surahita narat anudhari. Vishnu is the all pervading, all-knowing one. He is Soru Sarvagya Jatha Tripurari. He is the all-knowing one. Khojai so ki agya ivanari. Why is he acting so dumb and ignorant? वो अज्ञता से इतने भरे क्यों हैं और नारी को ढूंढ रहे, सीता जी को ढूंढ रहे. So this अज्ञता का आरोप सती जी ने, whose doubt herself, divinity में भी किया है. She is called Vishnu as Agya. Now she is calling Nari as Agya. दूसरी बात उसमें स्त्री विमर्श की आती है, लेकिन यहाँ पे जो बात कही जा रही है is Sati is representing that continuous hum of self-doubt, of hiding things, and hence it is Jada, it is world-looking. It has not changed to Shakti, which is Parvati, which is God-looking. And over here, Sati ji says, this is my nature, this is how things are, what can I do? Kīnha kapatu mai sambhusana, nari sahaja jada agya. And then comes a Sortha. Jalupaya sarisa bikai, dekhau priti ki riti bhali. So if two people are truly in love with each other, if there is nothing to hide between them, then it is like milk and water coexisting. दूध में पानी रहता ही रहता है. जब आप उसका खोआ बनाते हो तो वो पानी निकालते हो. दूध में तो पानी मिला ही हुआ रहता है. लेकिन उनका प्रेम कैसा है कि वो जो पानी उसमें है वो एक तरफ दूध के भाव से बिक जाता है. जलुपय सरिस बिकाई. Water sells at the value of milk because of the love they have for each other. दूसरी तरफ अगर दूध उफालने लगता है तो आप उसके ऊपर पानी झटक दो, नीचे बैठ जाएगा. सो वही पानी दूध को उफालने से बचाता है. अगर दूध उफलने लगा, बाहर आने लगा, तो उसका पानी बाहर आने लगता है. फर्स्ट द वाटर स्टार्ट्स इवेपोरेटिंग and then the milk inside starts getting agitated that someone whom I love so deeply is evaporating, so the milk starts spilling out. This is the paraspar prem that milk and water have for each other. I mean, I'm not talking of adulterated milk, I'm talking of water that exists in milk per se. So, Jalupaya Sarisabikai, Dekhu Preeti Ki Riti Bali. Such is the nature of love, that they are completely given into each other because they are transparent, there are no secrets to hide, they are completely open to each other. Bilaga hoi rasu jai kapata khatai paratapuni. But in this deep love of two partners, agar aap usme kapat ki khatai dal do, what do you curdle milk with? The Marathi word for that is virzan. I don't know the Hindi or English word for that. आप दूध में जो डालते हो उसको curdle करने के लिए
जामन जामन कहते हैं उसे, जामन लगाते हैं दूध।
जामन लगाना। थैंक यू मैम। तो आप दूध में जब जामन डालते हो, वो विरजन या खटाई डालते हो, उससे दूध में से पानी निकलने लगता है। So if you have settled curd over the night using jaman, you see that water has started coming down. Similarly, whatever you do, if it is not an sorry,
लेकिन संतोष, लेकिन खटाई और जामन अलग अलग चीजें हैं। जामन से तो दूध जमेगा, अलग अलग नहीं होगा, लेकिन कोई खटाई अगर उसमें डाल दें,
नींबू
जैसे नींबू का रस डाल दें, तो वो एकदम अलग अलग पानी अलग हो जाएगा। तो इस अर्थ में खटाई है
जी। लेकिन पीयूष में दोनों अर्थ दिए हैं। सो इट इज लाइक विरजन।
अगर जामन ज्यादा हो जाए, दही ज्यादा डालो तो अलग हो जाएगा।
So khatai hai, and then this goes on happening, so that water and milk, which were so much in deep love with each other, they start separating out if you put this khatai into them, which is the khatai or aspect of doubt. So if two people are in deep love and if there is any chal kapat between them, then the separation begins. Like you put khatai in milk and the water and milk start separating from each other. And this is exactly the situation between Shivji and Parvati ji. Shivji is disillusioned. Sati has put a veil of opaqueness, of a lack of transparency. And Shivji does not say anything, but from his mind, he has separated himself away from Sati ji. So over here, we stop for the day. If there are any questions, we take them.
No, not a question, just an observation that Tulsidas ji is probably telling us that it is okay, अबोध होना ठीक है, भोलापन ठीक है, बेवकूफी बुद्धू होना ठीक है, लेकिन अगर दो लोगों के रिश्ते में अगर कपट आ जाए तो फिर वो रिश्ता जो है वो हट जाता, फिर वो एक सा नहीं रहता। तो जब तक वो भोलेपने से कह रही थी कि मैं कुछ उनकी परीक्षा लेने जाऊंगी, देखूंगी, लेकिन जिस तरह से उसने परीक्षा ली वो सही नहीं थी, तो उसमें कपट आया और वो भी बताया भी नहीं आकर कि मैंने ऐसा किया। शायद माफ कर देते अगर बताती तो बस ऐसा बताना चाह रही थी, कहना चाह रही थी।
Santosh, you were on mute.
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am. There are two layers of kapat. One is she goes as Sita. The second thing is, she doesn't tell what's happening. और उसकी वो खटाई जब आ गई तो the minds have gone away from each other.
That worked as khatai. That worked as khatai.
Khatai, yeah. And
जब तक भोलापना था, जब तक भोलेपन से किया था, जब तक तो बुद्धू थी तो ठीक है, समझ लेते थे, लेकिन उसने जानबूझ के जो किया वो सही नहीं।
So the
and
question,
that is like khatai in the milk. And the Bhagavad calls this as projit kaitau. You should not have any such kapat in you. Then whatever your durgunas are there are accepted. But if kapat comes in, however potent you might be, the doors don't open up easily.
It's the intention, it's the niyat that matters.
correct, yeah. So the question here, Santosh, for me would be that Sati is, she's Parashakti. So how does that, just as there is she behaves like, in a sense, a woman, a regular woman, like any of us, the doubt you have, the questioning, and she like between a husband and wife. So it's this Parashakti who's equally Parabrahma Swarupini, and yet she has this. So again, is this also a kind of a Maya or a Katha Swarup? To take a Katha Swarup to enlighten us about the Ram Mahatva.
Yeah. So Sati is representing that doubt. She's doubt personified. So we are always talking of Prakriti having two faces. If she's outward looking and towards the world, she has turned her face away from divinity and has ignorance. The wheel of ignorance is around her. The moment she turns around and becomes Shakti, then she is the gateway to divinity, which is why Sati will now give up this body and come back as Parvati.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, got it. So my question, or just an observation, you can take it anyway. It's basically the story that I grew up with was exactly this, except the way it was told was that she became Sita for that little time, मतलब उनका रूप वो हो गया था, तो उस time में she was somebody else's, which is why Shivji, when obviously all this dialogue is not there in the story that I know, but Shivji immediately gleaned that, and when she came back, he told her that you were tum to parai ho, ab now you become Sita. So, and of course then whatever events transpire as they do. Now the point of that story was that the way it was told to me, and it was the reference was always the Valmiki Ramayana. So the way it was told to me, and every single time it's been that, look, there is a relationship, and the purity and the sanctity of the relationship has to be maintained. Now, Tulsidas ji, jaise, matlab wo doubt, he's making doubt as the real actor in moving the story forward. So my, and as I'm thinking more and more, you've also talked about, in fact, Tulsidas ji has talked about, the role of, or the personification of the woman, whether it's as a doubt or whether it is any other thing, matlab shak karti hain, jealous hoti hain, all these are feminine qualities as per Tulsidas ji. Now, I know it's not a very old text, it's about 500-600 years old. So do you think it could be because it was of the time that he was writing it in, and also for the kind, Abhi, you talked about, we understand things based on our own myopia, which is our own perceptions, our own thoughts. So I feel, but please correct me, is it was speaking to the audience then and trying to kind of, establish a common ground of understanding where people can understand, because I think the women were already, in a subservient sort of a category by then. And that is why the story has been told in this format, where these negative, they are essential qualities, but they are negative qualities, have kind of become the main drivers of the story moving forward.
So,
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it doesn't sound like we can reduce it to the male and female and in the human form, but it's really about the idea of Maya and the ultimate consciousness, right? So Maya is going to have all the kind of doubts and the fakeries and whatever. So that's just my take.
I think I'm in sync with Namita here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. However, the story I've been listening, I know, these are just my very own personal views, but I feel that at some point of time, the story has to be relatable in order for everyone to understand it. So how a child perceives it versus how maybe an 80-year-old may perceive it, or how a 50-year-old may perceive it, it will be different based on their own understandings. And at each and every time, it has to kind of be relatable. So, and a child may not understand the concept of Maya or Leela, but conversely, it may also understand the concept of Maya and Leela. It could or it could not. So my point is yes, I agree that you cannot, genderize these kind of values or virtues or vices, but they are essential for the format of storytelling and to drive home certain truths. I've forgotten what my initial question was now. So got lost in the thoughts. So yeah.
No, that's completely okay, Ekta. It's also a forum to express your thoughts in the end. What I'll do is I'll just, because it's already 9 minutes into the call, I'll do the concluding prayer. I stop the recording and then we can have this for another 5 minutes. Yatra yatra Raghunath Kirtanam Tatra Tatra Krutamastakāṇḍalim Bāshpavari Paripurna Lochanam मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम्।